And welcome back to the Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar. My guest today is Bob Baer, morepowertopublish.com. He's a publisher, and he has the tools, the system, to help you get the most out of being published, getting a book. If you ever thought about, gee, I'd love to write that story, then Bob's the guy to talk to. Bob, thanks again for taking your time.
Thank you for having me.
I love what we're doing because we're trying to bring edutainment together, education and entertainment. And the idea is that we've actually been giving people real snapshots or path, the real path for going from idea all the way through to distribution. What are the next steps?
Well, the next step is getting, once you have a manuscript written and edited and you feel comfortable with it, you feel happy with it, the next step is getting it published. And there's numerous routes, but the main ones that people hear of are self-publishing. Of course, you can publish electronically, and electronic ebooks is a growing segment of the market. You can find an agent who will help you find a traditional publisher. And there are some alternative methods and some hybrid methods of publishing that kind of give you the best of both worlds, self-publishing and traditional publishing. And we try to teach people the pros and cons of each method and prevent them from getting tripped up and guide them in the right direction, and then the choice is theirs, which would work best for them. Very good.
And in today's world, it seems like no matter what you do, you better cover all of the bases, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's if you're going to have a hardcover or a written form that somebody could hold in their hand, that has an impact, and there's a reason to do it that way. But then there's also the electronics, the Kindle, the Nook, the whatever. They've got all these different formats, Amazons. They're all part of it.
The industry is changing so rapidly, and what we talk about now is going to be different 6 months from now. And so that's why we try to keep people updated, and even as they write their book and get ready to publish it, there may be changes that they might have to make adjustments in.
So in looking at the book production slide that we've got, what are some of the pieces of that?
Well, I mentioned cover design. There's the question of whether to have your photo on the book or not. There are the questions of the synopsis, your bio, and there's different length bios that you need depending on where you're putting it. And there's a question of what you're going to promote most heavily. Are you going to start with an ebook and then publish the book? And how are you going to publish it? We talked about. But more importantly than all of that really is what you do this whole time you're getting ready before the publication date. There are some other things that should be going on. And I'm going to go on to the next one here. At the release, when the book is released, there's some things to look at there. You get the printing scheduled, you maybe get ready to do some book signings, but the next thing that should have been happening all along is called platform development. And regardless of whether you're self-publishing or going to a traditional publisher, no matter what, people are going to be asking, well, what's your platform? And your platform means, who are you leading? Who are you influencing? How are you getting the word out? Unless you are nationally known as a speaker, even the biggest traditional publishers are going to ask you, what's your platform? And they really ask some almost embarrassing questions to people sometimes. How many followers do you have? How many connections do you have on LinkedIn? How many Facebook friends do you have? And they want to find out exactly, and they can find out themselves by going online. Another thing that we do, and most publishers do, is we do a vanity search. We immediately go to Google, type in the person's name, see if they show up anywhere. That tells us whether they have a platform or not. See if there's any bad things there about them. So the world has changed for publishing and for authors because of the internet. And so from the very start, they need to be building that platform.
Well, that sounds like it's like you said, from the very start, thinking about who is their audience. Who are they speaking to? Who are they going to be touching? Who's really going to, the right word is kind of resonate with? Who's going to get it? Whatever it is that they're trying to say, right?
And that's one of the things that someone should do before they actually even start their book is figure out exactly who it is they're addressing this to, who's their perfect reader.
But doesn't it also even entail things like you need to make sure that your social media is building during that time period, that your website is you're adding to your website, you're adding to its influence, its ability to reach?
In fact, one of the first things about websites to think about is if you think you have a book that you want to write someday and you're pretty sure you know what the title is, get that URL.
Oh, yeah.
You shouldn't even write the book unless you've captured the URL, or someone else might. It's important to have that. And if the URL itself isn't available, like on my book, More Power, I have morepower.com, but if that hadn't been available, I could have gone with morepowerbook.com.
Very good. And the one we're really talking about, the thing we want people to do here is get to your
Get to our
meeting.
workshop.
Get to your workshop at morepowertopublish.com.
Correct.
And if they want to talk to somebody, they can they can go to the 888 number. But the idea here is that if you have a book in you, go to morepowertopublish.com. This is Pat Dewar, and this is the Business Spotlight. We've got another segment to go, and you're going to learn more about making the most impact with all of your influence. Thanks. We'll be right back.
You can become a published author. Discover a system that will lead you from idea to having your book on the bookshelves. Bob Baer pulls back the curtain at the More Power to Publish workshop. Watch and learn how to follow the step-by-step plan to turn your idea into a published book. Learn more at morepowertopublish.com.